And now we'll start talking about what you're actually here to talk about. And that's Acumatica. So I posted on LinkedIn how today's mission is for you to fall in love with Acumatica and the project-based editions, just like we have here at Amplify. And so that's my goal. All I want is for you to see the romance of this emerging ERP, not a big goal, right, Wally? You're going to accomplish that one with me?
I hope so.
Small goal. So fall in love with software, easy. And why do I actually think that we might be able to hit this goal? Well, let me tell you a bit of a story. So as most of you know, Amplify Tech is definitely the newest part of Amplify. We're really excited to have started as a fractional CFO, fractional controller, and full outsourcing accounting and finance shop. That's still our biggest department, serving over 80 growth clients today in all industries. But we're really excited about construction, project-based, field services industries, which is why we're focused on that today. And we serve that in our financial leadership area. We obviously, as mentioned, are recruiters. We place CPAs in permanent and temporary jobs, and many times that's companies that are in this space, and many times it's candidates that have expertise in this space. But Amplify Tech is the newest part of Amplify. It's not really that new, though. It's at least 4 years old now, I think, isn't it, David? It's not brand new, but it is new that we have Acumatica as a partner. So we are, drum roll, a gold certified Acumatica partner. That only happened last week. So this is very new and very exciting. We've been working with them for about a year to earn that certification, and we've got the experience, and we've got the badges, and we've got the learning, and most important, we've got the team. So client experience when it comes to implementations, for those of you that attended with us at the live AHA, know that that's hard. Implementations are hard, but it's a lot easier when you partner with the right implementer, which is our amazing Amplify Tech team, and the right software. Acumatica, the reason we decided to start licensing and implementing this system, honestly, it comes down to the basics. We were losing. Jesse and I don't like to lose. So if we're losing, we try to figure out how to stop losing. And in this case, the way we were going to stop losing was to actually jump on board and become an Acumatica partner. It was really important to us that we could serve the industries of construction, energy services, field services, and professional services like engineering, environmental services better. And that's the areas that we were losing. So the system that we represented and were competing during system selection processes wasn't winning, and it shouldn't have won because it wasn't as good for those specific industries as Acumatica. That made us super curious. How can we win? Should we become an Acumatica partner? Next thing you know, we investigated further into Acumatica, and there's 3 things I want to point out here. Wally's going to do a better job of introducing Acumatica than me, obviously, but the 3 things that make me excited from the Chief Experience Officer role that I want to share with you and makes Acumatica different in the market. One is they're customer centric. We call it client experience. It's basically the same thing. So Acumatica really is putting the customer first. That is unusual for software and technology companies, and it seems to be really true. I've gone to Vegas twice. I know, poor me, get to go to Vegas with Acumatica. But twice I've been to Vegas, and every customer, every competitor, and every module and system support partner is really talking about the customer. It's, if they're faking it, like, they've got me convinced, because that's all they talk about, that's all they're focused on, and it's awesome. And it obviously is speaking straight to my heart as a Chief Experience Officer. So that's number 1. They share the same values as us, and they're focused on the customer. Number 2, they charge based on transactions, which for growth companies that are thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to get off QuickBooks, I don't know if I'm big enough for an ERP. The fact that you start by paying by transactions means that you're barely paying more than your typical tech stack of QBO and the DEX and the Reach and what have you. So you can start at a very competitive price to the plug and play tech stack that you're using today, but actually have an enterprise system that matches the strategy and growth of your business. Obviously, when you're paying by user, that's not as true. And the change management and the buy-in when you're paying by user is tough. How many of you have decided that because David only uses the ERP once a month that you're not going to pay for David's subscription. It's too expensive. The next thing you know, you're emailing David spreadsheets and you're managing your business on spreadsheets and emails because you're too cheap to buy the user license. All of you are guilty of that. I am guilty of that too. Not with David. He's way too important around here not to have access. But you know, there's many, many people that it's like once a month, once a quarter. That doesn't make sense. And you know what? It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It's too expensive. So with Acumatica, it's transaction-based and unlimited users. That's huge. It's huge for buy-in, it's huge for growth, and it keeps the cost low. I'm not going to lie to you here. Once you get to a certain size, they're all kind of the same price. That's true. But at the low level, when you're not using it with that many people and not that many transactions, huge difference. So you can get in and build and have change management and have it match your growth. So that's awesome. Last thing I want to point out is that it also has unlimited access to learning. So the number of ERP implementations that I've been part of, either as a former finance leader in industry, as a Big Four consultant, and sadly, even here at Amplify, where it did not go well because they cut costs when it came to training, is countless. And that's the thing. Great, you have a beautiful system. But if someone's afraid to use it, or someone doesn't know how to use it, what are they going to do? They're going to do their old way. They're going to pull out that spreadsheet. They're going to pull out that old process because they're scared of the system. And if you're not putting in the money and time to training, it doesn't matter how good it is, it's not going to work out. And Acumatica has unlimited access to their training, which is a massive opportunity for companies that are trying to cut costs and don't want to pay for the training and don't want to sign up for the subscriptions to the university or whatever the other ERPs have. So those are the things that made us become an Acumatica partner. I'm going to stop and let Wally do the real work here. We're going to get right into the demos and to the Acumatica background. And in the end, we're going to do questions and answers. So if any of you have questions, type them in the chat at any point. We're going to address them at the end. And I'm really excited to help you guys learn about this construction edition and project edition version of Acumatica. So thanks for being here with us today. Thanks, Wally. Off to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all of the Amplify team. We are equally excited to work with Amplify. I'm going to talk a little bit about X2, about Acumatica, and then we'll get into the product itself. So let me bring up, share my screen first.
All right.
See my screen okay?
Yeah, it works.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay.
There's a slight echo on you, but I'm not sure if it's adjustable, but we can hear you good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to, as I said, give a little bit of background about Acumatica. Acumatica maybe is not a household name or somebody that you've heard before. Part of that is because we are a newer company, right? We've been around since 2008. In the ERP world, that's the new kid on the block. But I'll talk a little bit about that as we go in. So I think it's important. Janie gave some really good background, some of the things that do make us different in the marketplace, and I'll talk about that and touch on that a little bit as well. So just kind of where we started and how we started. The company was started in 2008, and it was started by a number of people who had been in the industry, including one of the original founders of Solomon, if you're familiar with Solomon, and a few other people who had been in ERP through kind of pre-Y2K. And they saw the power of the internet. They saw kind of where technology was going, and they said, this is the platform that something needs to be built on, is the internet. So, and doing something, it wasn't even called the cloud then, right? So they built the company, they started the company on three really kind of key concepts. And number one is, we're going to be focused on small to mid-sized businesses. So we're not going up market and competing with your SAPs of the world. We're not going to do that. We're also not going to be, really competing with, the onesie twosie user QuickBooks scenarios either, but that big area in the middle, companies that outgrow QuickBooks or Sage 50 or something like that and don't want to go to the big one. That was the space that we identified. And then the other thing that we identified was we need to do this through partners because the super key element to success here is the team that implements your software. And that's why we're super thrilled to have partners like Amplify. We're very happy to get Amplify as a partner because they know the industry, they know the customers, they know their local customers, and they can bring industry expertise. And we can teach them how to be experts in Acumatica. And as Jamie said, that's what we've been doing over the last year. So that was a really important tenet. And the last was that we were going to be basing the software on working via the internet. Again, little before that term, the cloud. But as soon as it was there, we adopted it very quickly because that made sense. We consider ourselves to be kind of born in the cloud, the first really modern solution that started in this century, in fact. And what does the cloud give you? What's the advantages? Well, if you're using a business system, you want high availability. Every day we're replacing systems that are installed on site. And maybe you've got great IT people that are maintaining your systems, or an outfit that's maintaining your systems, but it's a server that somebody's got to maintain. Well, when you're in the cloud and you're using very high availability systems, you always have access to it. So that was really important, taking that responsibility off customers. Remote collaboration, meaning because it's the internet, any device that you have that can connect to the internet can be connected. So you can be connected anywhere, anytime. And I'll show you a little bit of that because that leads to the next one, which is mobility. So whatever device I'm on, so I could be in a hotel room, on the other side of the planet. I could also be at my kid's hockey game and get a message on my phone and address, a question or an issue or approval right there and then. The cloud also gives us the opportunity to leverage the best of security across all of our customers, so that the infrastructure, the system, the platform that you're working from is super secure. And then finally, we were able to leverage the latest technology and build it on open standards. And what that's allowed us to do is build a very deep application ourselves, but also connect to other things. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. So if there is a solution that goes beyond something that's in Acumatica, maybe something very industry specific. We're talking about construction today, a Procore, right? You need to have a great, strong integration to Procore, which we did, and it's a very strong integration or collaboration that we did with them. So Jamie already touched on the unlimited users, and just to kind of be clear on that, we don't charge a fee for every transaction that you do. The way that we create this model is we look at how much business is flowing through, or you anticipate will be flowing through the ERP system, and then we size you on an instance that will be appropriate for you. So we do kind of keep track of the number of transactions that you're doing on a given month, and it's certain transactions. It's not cumulative, all of your transactions. But what that allows us to do is to price you based on how much resources you're going to use from us. And to Jamie's point, allow you to have unlimited users, so that you can have that very, very casual user who's on once a month, once a quarter, have a login to the system. You can control what they have access to, but they can have their access when they need it, including people in the field, right? And also have it be super flexible. So in addition to having the ability to leverage the cloud, if you really wanted to or felt you needed to, you actually can install it on site. So in your own instance, or we use Amazon's AWS. Maybe you're big believers in Microsoft's Azure or some other platform. You certainly have the ability to do that as a customer of ours. So we give you the flexibility to put the software where you want it. We're happy to do the managing of that for you, and that's included with your software license. Jamie also already mentioned the Open University which is the free unlimited training. If you wanted to today start learning about Acumatica, you can go Google Acumatica Open University and start taking classes right now. You can do that. So it's there, it's free, it's open to all of our customers, and it's really great that customers can like create almost a little path for each user in the system. You hire somebody new in accounting, you say, here, go watch these 10 videos on Acumatica Open University, and then we'll start training you on our environment. So that's a really nice thing to have access to. The other thing that Jamie didn't really mention, she did, but she didn't, is Amplify is part of our community. Our users are part of our community. Our customers are part of our community. All of us who work for Acumatica are part of our community. So this community concept is really, really strong with us. And Jamie mentioned the Vegas conference that we have every year. It's going to be someplace different next year, but we have a user conference every year. And when I first joined the company about 5 years ago, the thing that I just couldn't believe is how enthusiastic everybody was that I met. And it was, just as Jamie said, talking about customers, being very enthusiastic about it. So we do have this real great sense of community. People like being a part of it. Developers like developing products that work with ours because they like our technology. Customers like the usability of the product. So this community is very strong. So when if you choose to become an Acumatica customer, you're joining a really nice, strong community of people that you're probably gonna like. So all these things, the way that we built the software has really led us to, I mentioned we were kind of the new kids on the block. We already have well north of 10,000 customers. Today, our customers are all very happy. This net promoter score is very, very high for ERP providers. We have lots of customers. ISVs are software vendors that choose to create an integration and work with Acumatica. So that number is probably north of 300 now. So people see our community, they see our ecosystem, they want to be a part of it. It just means there's more value in our community to our customers. And there's just lots and lots of transactions that flow through Acumatica on a yearly basis. And I mentioned that our customers all seem very happy when they come to our user conference. We encourage our customers to rate us on all of these different services that are out there that rate them. If you're looking at software and you're reviewing software and Acumatica is one that you're interested in or reviewing, I'd encourage you to go to some of these software rating systems like G2 and software reviews, and look at what people are saying about us and look at what they're saying about anybody else that you might be reviewing in comparison to us. So just, it's out there. It's very public information. We're quite happy with it. Oops, sorry, I jumped ahead there. So we built this platform, and today we're talking about construction and service oriented businesses. But I think it is important to know and to understand that Acumatica is in a number of different businesses or a number of different industries. So we built the platform, and then we decided we were going to be very kind of methodical in going after industries and getting very deep with these industries. So in our business, you can kind of choose to be horizontal, which is like a QuickBooks or something like that, or you can choose to be very specific into industry. And the interesting thing about Acumatica is we've done multiple industries. And the real value here is if you are a business that is a construction business, we've got terrific functionality for a construction company. But maybe if you do something a little bit different in addition to construction, like maybe you have inventory in multiple locations because you're an electrical contractor and you've got a warehouse and you've got multiple trucks out there in the field that also have inventory on them. Well, the fact that we do distribution really helps that out because we've got terrific inventory planning capabilities. Lots and lots of construction companies are getting into the prefab space, right? Where you're doing some prefabrication, maybe at a location, at your home location, before you bring it out into the field. Well, kind of nice to have some manufacturing capability there to manage raw materials, to manage work orders, production orders, potentially, all tying into the one central set of accounting capabilities. So that's just an example. We would consider field services, Jamie talked about, under construction. But there's lots of manufacturing companies that are also in the field service business because they service their product. There's lots of distributors who sell product that need to be installed and then serviced later. So there's a lot of crossover here in all of these businesses. It's very helpful. And I mentioned earlier that we do integrate with a number of solutions, and all of these companies are thrilled to partner with us and have this integration. They like how open our API is with regard to how well it's documented, how quickly they can build an integration to it, so that they can add value in addition to the Acumatica solution. To some other things. So for instance, if you wanted to have a lot of customer outreach and you wanted to have a CRM system, you might work with HubSpot and SendGrid and even SurveyMonkey to help manage your customers. Procore, I mentioned earlier. Maybe you need to send out a change order to your customer and you'd like to do that electronically. Well, you can use DocuSign or Adobe and send that out electronically. Customer can approve their change order on the phone. That can come right back into the system immediately. So all kinds of nice integrations of things that might not be core to Acumatica, but work very, very well with Acumatica. So kind of mentioned that we looked at the different industries, and we're talking about construction and service industry today. So when we set out to build out that functionality, we kind of looked at, well, what are the pain points? What are businesses struggling with? And there certainly has been construction ERP, right? There have been solutions out there since the 80s and 90s. People addressing challenges. But businesses change, things change. And so the pains that people were feeling partly were due to the way that the technology was changing as well. So we looked at all the challenges that companies in the construction field were having. And then we said, okay, well, we need to create functionality to address these, to address higher costs, to address workforce productivity, to address supply chain challenges. So we needed to come up with solutions for that. And that's exactly what we did. We designed functionality to meet those requirements, to give people out in the field, to give project managers out in the field functionality that they could work with, whether that's on their phone or on a tablet. They can see their project, they can see their change orders, they can see any RFIs, they can do daily field reports, very quickly, take pictures from their phone, from their tablet. And then that's real time linked back into the system so people in the office can see things. I did my daily field report midday. We can be running, progress billing in the afternoon. So that's the immediate capabilities that we've delivered to the solution. I'll get into a little bit of that functionality and give you kind of a little taste. And we're certainly happy to, us and the Amplify team, if there's anything here that you'd like to really dive into a little bit deeper, we're happy to do something very specific for you. So that's what we like to do. We like to understand your business. We like to talk to you about it, about what your goals, what your objectives are, and then show you the software that is very specifically going to address any challenges that you might have or goals that you might have for growing the business, say. Okay, so I will now get into showing the software. So let me change my screens here. Okay, I'm gonna move this. Great. So what we're looking at here is what you might see when you initially log into the software. So you'll notice right away that I'm in a browser, right? As we kind of today live most of our lives in browsers. I'm one of those people who tends to keep too many tabs open, as you can see. But the cool thing about Acumatica is you can have as many tabs open as you want. There's no limit, especially because of this unlimited user scenario. You can have as many sign-ons as you want. You might have or want to see, what a particular user looks like somebody else that's not you. So I might want to see if I have our payroll, for instance, I want to see what a payroll user has. So maybe I have a test user to see what they see when they log into the system, because they want to see their paycheck, or they want to see their deductions, or they want to see the latest you know, PTO allotment that they have. So you can do things like that. So I can have different users, even if I wanted to, across my tabs here. And then from a navigation perspective, what you see when you log in is what you decide you want to see. So as an individual user, I can say, well, I want to see this because I'm in projects, or I'm really just accounting. So I just deal with payables and vendors all day long. So that's what I want to see when I log in. Or I want to see receivables. That's all I care about. Or I'm the purchasing manager. That's what I want to see. And for each of those, there's a dashboard. That's what we're seeing right now, is this dashboard view of things. And I've got mine set up as a project overview dashboard, so I can see, at a quick glimpse, what's going on with the things that I care about. So here are some of the top projects that I'm interested in, and the costs that are accumulating for each of these. I can see the projects, drill into any of the projects, the remaining estimate to be consumed by project. I can see estimated profit by each project. And all of these are drillable. You can also do things like, I've got a site camera here embedded into this. This is our big project that we have going on. So I'd like to keep an eye on that one. I can look at gross profit in a number of different ways. So I can see it this way in kind of a table view, but I can also see that exact same thing over here in a pie chart view. So however you want to see things, it's super easy for literally end users to be able to kind of configure what they see and what they want to see in their dashboard when they log into the system. The system comes with, I don't know, like 15 kind of standard dashboards, and you've got the ability to tailor those. So I can see, contract status here, revised contracts. I can see change orders here. I can see the change order log here, drill into any of these. I can see ball and court issues. So I've got a few RFIs here that I need to address. I can see that I'm maybe the purchasing manager here, in addition to being a project manager. I need to approve these POs, so I can drill into these POs to see them and to approve them or not approve them, depending on kind of what I want to see. And as I said, you can drill into any of these. So if I wanted to see a little bit more about this particular project here, I can just click on the pie chart. Oh, it logged me off. Oh, sorry. But it will then drill into that particular project, and then you'll see kind of the view of the project. And this is one of the real strengths to Acumatica in the construction and project space is, yes, as I can look at, it's going to do a little, to drill into this project. So what you see when you drill into any particular project, and this might be what you want to see whenever you log in. So as I said, as an individual user, you can choose to see the things that you want to see. Maybe you create a dashboard that just has information about the projects that you are working on, that you're currently managing right now. But this is the project view, and this is a very strong capability built into the application that gives me really everything that I want to see, that I need to see, that I need to know about any particular project right here. So I don't have to go to multiple places. I don't have to go to one place to see the revenue budget and another place to see the costs. I don't have to, maybe I can see revenue and cost, but I got to go somewhere else to see my commitments or my change orders. So I can really see everything associated with it, including the initial setup of it. I can see that it's a task-based project, and you can define, how you want your structure to be set up, and the layer of granularity that you want to have for each individual tasks. I can go into the the revenue budget here, and I can see the things that we're going to be billing. You can choose how you're going to be billing this project. Is it a fixed bid contract? Is it a cost plus? Is it a progress billing? And then you can, this particular project happens to be a progress billing. So if I've done something new with the project at any time, I can go ahead and run billing. And then I can see the invoices associated with it. So I've got this project set up to do pro forma invoices, right? So I can run billing, I can see the pro forma invoices, I can send that out to the customer. And again, maybe I send that out with a DocuSign, right? So the customer gets a copy of it, they get it on their phone. This invoice looks good. You sign off on it, you send it back, you turn that immediately into a real invoice and send that out to the customer. So that's all there. So I can drill into any of these individual revenue lines here. I can do the same thing with the cost budget. I can maybe get a little more detail in the cost budget. So each task you can see has a number of costs associated with it. In terms of cost code, you can define, how you want to define your cost codes. Very flexible with regard to, your task structure and your cost code structure. We give you lots of samples. We give you templates actually even to start with. So you can start with a template and then change it. You can create templates that are appropriate for maybe the different kinds of business that you do. So here's my progress billing template. Here's my fixed bid template. Here's my cost plus template. So you can have all kinds of different templates that you do. Maybe this is just a service oriented, I'm just doing, construction management on this. I'm not doing any of the fulfillment of this project at all. So you can have different templates that you set up that can all have different kind of formats here. And then for any particular project that's live, I can drill into it. I can drill into any of these transactions. It also has one of these tabs here is the balances. So this actually gives me kind of a little quick P&L for the project here. I can see the existing revenue. I can see the existing expenses. So kind of immediately I can get a very quick view of how's this project doing right from here. I can look at my commitments and see what I've got here. So I've got a dropship PO here on here. I've got a subcontract on here. I can drill into any of these and see that if I want to. I mentioned before invoices. I run invoices and now I can see invoices that I have out there. So I can see pro forma invoices and I can see those that get turned into real invoices. So I just have a couple here. You might have, many. You might have several pro formas that are out there that you've got in the customer's hands. You're waiting on them for feedback, any changes that might need to be made. So you can make those changes and then send the finished invoice out to the customer, the final invoice that they're expecting. There's a whole change order capability built into the application. You can see that all here. So I can create a new change order. Somebody can create a requested potential change order from a daily field report from out in the field. Maybe it starts with an RFI. Hey, we need more information on this. We ran into, something that was unexpected on the site. We might need to bring in, a blasting group. So we create an RFI, there's some exchange that goes back and forth. We're definitely going to need that. That's going to be a change order. We can send that right to the customer. That's all here and all documented. Here's some other things that you can see right from here. So I can start with the change requests. I can see what change requests that are out there. We're waiting for approval. I can see if I've got unions that are on here, what unions are associated with this particular project. Activities are something that you've got on everywhere throughout Acumatica, which basically just allows you to kind of put notes and keep track of things. If you're not using daily field reports or somebody internally wants to, put a note on the project, they can do that. Also allows me to do tasks for an individual. So we've got tasks for the project, but maybe I need to put a task in somebody's inbox that I want you to go out tomorrow to go on site and check how things are looking at the project. I have employees. I can have a number of employees. We can have equipment, specific equipment associated with a project. So if I've got equipment and I'm billing equipment on a project, I can do that. Part of someone's time entries, part of somebody doing work on a daily field report, they can say, we worked this much time on this much job, got this much accomplished, and we use this piece of equipment this much time. So that's all here. All kinds of addresses, approvals. I can see any approvals that are waiting. If there's any emails that have gone out, you sent an email out just with a general inquiry to the owner or maybe one of the subs, you can see that here. Compliance documentation. Built into construction is full compliance capability. So I can document any compliance that I have for me personally, for this project, for any of my subs that I've got documented, for any of my vendors, any compliance documents you can keep track of. There's a whole area within the application that's the compliance section. So I can go in and see everything about compliance. I mentioned earlier that we've got a manufacturing capability built into our solution, right? So you might be a construction company that doesn't have any need for that, but if you did and you wanted to see your prefab production orders that you're waiting on, I've got a link to those right here. So if I did have any, I could see any production orders if I needed to create one. Maybe I'm an electrical contractor and I need to create a production order because I need somebody to redo this this power cabinet that we're going to be doing on site, or we're going to create a new one. You can create those, and they're linked here too. So everything is visible, everything's tied together, and I've got visibility to all of that. So that's kind of all of the different things that I've got here from a perspective, from an active project, I'll say. We also have some nice capability for starting a project. So anything from, we're a company that has a really sophisticated spreadsheet that we use for estimating. Well, that's great. You can create, your project and import it right in. So everywhere in Acumatica, you've got the ability to export anything that I'm looking at into Excel. I also have the ability to load from Excel. So if I've got a really nice estimating system that's in Excel, I can bring it in. But if you're interested in things like pre-construction, we also have some terrific partners that do estimating a lot like we do, meaning built on the cloud, very modern takeoff and estimating solutions that feed directly into Acumatica, that can start from their solution and then feed right into Acumatica and keep that integration. So those are some kind of key things for a project once you have a project. But just to kind of give you an idea too, there's a whole time and expense capability built into the application. So individuals can certainly do their own time and enter timesheets in here. If you're using something today for time that you really like and you'd like to keep, we also have a really nice utility for importing that time into other solutions. So there's lots of options there. There's a whole expense management. So if you've got somebody that's out in the field that's maybe got a corporate card or putting things on their own card, they can do expenses, an expense report, and put things right on the project, tie it right to the project. So that's all tied in and part of it. We can do individual time. We can also do crew time. So if you're doing time that way, so lots of options and capability for that. And then tied into the application is the backend financials. So this is also something in the kind of construction ERP. Some of them did a really nice job with project management and maybe even job cost, but didn't go all the way into financials. So doing your financial reporting, your balance sheet, your P&Ls, all there, all built into the system. So everything is feeding all the way through. So something that starts as a change order ends up becoming a purchase order, ends up becoming, a PO to the vendor, ends up getting shipped to the site. That PO becomes an AP bill. There's a really terrific solution for importing those bills that get sent from the vendors right into the system. System can read those and create the AP bill automatically, and that's going to show up in your financials. So everything goes through. Banking, so importing bank transactions, bank reconciliations, all that capability. I think I kind of touched on most of the things in construction. If you drill into any of these workspaces, you can see some more things. I mentioned, obviously, the project capabilities. I mentioned change orders, pro forma invoices, subcontracts, all built in. There's also payroll that's integrated into the application. So depending on how sophisticated your payroll requirements might be, our payroll solution could be terrific. We also have 3 or 4 really, really great partners that just do payroll and HR. So there's lots of options there for you. I mentioned compliance. There's a whole compliance capability by vendor, capability to manage lien waivers. That's all there. There's also a project management module. And this is a complementary potential add-on to our construction. A number of our customers, as I mentioned, use Procore today or use another field project management system and then tie back into Acumatica. Lots of people don't need everything that Procore has. It kind of has everything. And if really all you need is really a subset, we've got a terrific project management module as well, where we can do RFIs and issues, drawing logs, photo logs, and the whole daily field report capability as part of that solution as well. So I think that's kind of the high level version of what I wanted to show today. I think we're going to turn it back over to the Amplify folks to see if there's additional questions. I'm happy to answer questions. And as I said, we are certainly happy to set up a very specific time if you'd like to get a personalized demo that will show you the things that you want to see that are important to you to make sure that Acumatica could handle everything in your business. We're happy to do that.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Wally. We do have lots of questions, so hopefully we can get through all of them.
Okay.
And if not, we'll try and follow up with people after. David, maybe you can capture some of these questions in case we miss any of them too. But let's start with work in progress. There's a couple questions in relation to that. So obviously we know in construction, monitoring whether or not something is a raw material, becomes inventory, or has been in order, and all this work in progress things can be one of the hardest parts to manage. And certainly we've seen a number of construction companies when they're dealing with small, nice little small projects, and then when they go into the big projects, it's the work in progress and their inability to know to put a change order out or to know that they're still profitable that blows up the whole business and or makes them call us, which the latter is nice, but the first is sad. So work in progress, can you show us a little bit more on that? I know you looked at it a little, but just want to make sure we're getting everybody's attention on that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Jamie, that this is one of those things, like everybody's got their own work in progress spreadsheet, right? And the columns that are on there, what's on it, what you care about, what you see. So I'll just give you kind of a sample of the one that comes out of the box with us. And I'll just tell you that this is we'll do that. So every report in Acumatica, you've got the ability to take it as is. This is great. I love it. It's everything that I want. But you also have the ability to export to Excel. So if we're almost there, if only we had one more column, and I kind of like to to add this column and subtract this column. You absolutely have the ability to do that. But hopefully, I'll just say that this WIP report has probably gone through many iterations since we have had a construction solution, because people have really strong ideas about what it is. So this is a review of all of my projects, right? So by project, I can see kind of what we've got here, everything that's here, from the budget amount, the pending amount, the commitments that we have right now, completions. So this is everything that we've got in our project. And if I look at, let's a good one, this one, I know it's got quite a bit of data. So now we're looking at a WIP report specifically for this particular project. So I can look at each individual line items. It's this one. This is kind of a task view within a project. And again, I can see all of the key columns that are here. And any of these that are important that I want to drill into even more, want to drill into this concrete task, I can drill even further down and see the task, and see how that was set up. So
Excellent. We're also getting a lot of questions about inventory. So you alluded right at your intro how critical it can be that a company doesn't necessarily fit into a box. They might be a construction company by and large, or have the most in common with construction, but they also have some distribution or manufacturing components. And so in particular, people are curious about inventory. Obviously, you might not be able to show us with the demo that we had you create today, since we didn't specify that. If possible, can we see like how inventory looks? And if not, we can just speak to it. One thing I think is worth pointing out is that if you do end up having the construction edition and the manufacturing edition, from a user perspective, it all feels like it's just one system. Right, Wally? So it's not
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
not like you have to
absolutely.
go into the manufacturing one and then go into construction. It's all
Yeah,
one system. Most of your users wouldn't even know that you had more than one edition. Only the
yeah, and
people that
users
implement it.
users can control what they have here. We call these workspaces. So users can control what they see, and what they have access to. And as administrators or people setting up, you can control what your users have access to and what they can see. So a real key thing with purchasing as it relates to construction is that we've got the ability to not just cut purchase orders and have inventory sent somewhere or sent to the job, as a drop ship, but we have the ability, if you've got the inventory module, to receive, and not just receive, but also to barcode. So if I've got, a purchase order, here, if I've got a purchase order, and here's an open purchase order, and if I were to receive it, so we track detailed information about inventory. So, and we've got an inventory item, we've got an inventory item number. We can have cross references between how we track it and how maybe the vendor tracks it. You can have that be cross referenced, or the item number that we use, we choose to use the vendor's item number. But having a more generic one kind of allows you to say, well, I have this item, I have this this rebar that I buy, but I've got 4 different people that I can buy it from. I've got this electrical harness. I've got 3 different vendors that I can buy from. This is my internal item number, but I can have a cross reference here. So if this is a PO that I've got here, if I enter a receipt, I can do things like create barcode labels. I can scan to enter things. So if I were to enter a I don't know. I might have a purchase receipt document that I want to have, so that I can scan, and this one doesn't have barcodes on it, but I could have barcodes on it so that I could have a scanning document, similar to if you were in the distribution business or the manufacturing business. When you're pulling things off the shelf, you might want to create a barcode label so that you can scan and pick and use the application that way. Lots of tools for managing inventory from an operations perspective, but there's also really good tools for inventory planning. So we've got MRP, which is specifically for manufacturing. We also have DRP for distribution planning. So if I'm not a manufacturer, but I've got warehouses, a warehouse or multiple warehouses, the system can have things like minimum stock levels, reorder points. It can have purchase amounts, minimums and maximums. You can have different pricing from vendors. Different vendors can have different pricing. So lots of capability there. So hopefully
Excellent.
that's a good little snapshot, but
Yeah, no, that's great.
that
And
can be
we
a whole
didn't,
half-hour demo.
yeah, exactly. We didn't prep you, so that was really, really good visuals, given that we didn't have them preset. I love it. David, if there's any core questions you want to make sure don't get missed in case, because we're not probably going to get through all of them, please jump in. One thing I do want to look at is OCR, so optimal character recognition. I didn't prep you on that, so I don't expect you to be ready to show me, but I want to point out that Acumatica does include optimal character recognition right within the system, which is a huge perk for an ERP, because certainly for those accountants that are joining us, which is a lot of you, if you're not using optimal character recognition, which is essentially where the software reads your receipts and then enters the journal entry through reading the receipts, and there's some machine learning or AI that helps it know where to code. That's the layman's version of optimal character recognition. Everyone should be using it, even if you're on QuickBooks, and certainly if you're on an ERP. And I think it's pretty awesome that it's part of Acumatica's system. So I don't know if you have that available, Wally, and apologies, I didn't ask you ahead of time.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I don't have that set
No,
up in
that's
my
okay.
demo, but I'll just give a little bit of where it is inside of Acumatica. So you mentioned the key ones, purchasing. So if you've purchased some items and your vendor sends you an email, right, with an invoice on it. Couple ways that you can get that in. You can save that file and you can drag it into Acumatica, just to drag and drop it in, and Acumatica will scan it and read it and recognize the vendor number, recognize the items, and find the PO number on there, match it up against the PO, and create the AP bill, just as Jamie said, automatically. So you could do that kind of physically, dragging it into Acumatica. The other thing that you can do is set up a AP at my company email address, and Acumatica can constantly be looking at that mailbox for emails and bring those in automatically. So that can happen as well. So
Excellent.
those are a couple. And then the third part is, and I did touch on it just a little bit with expense management. So
Right.
if you're doing expense management and you're out in the field and you want to just do a quick expense report, I just went to Home Depot. I just want to scan this this receipt here and create a quick expense report. You can do that as well. So three, just a few different ways that you can do it.
Excellent. And I would say OCR to a large degree is table stakes for any finance or accounting department that's scaling, but it's excellent that it's within Acumatica and you don't have to go that extra step with integration. But to your earlier point, Wally, if you have a best in class or a system that your people are really comfortable with, you could also use that OCR integrated in Acumatica. It's a very open API. There's almost no exception as to what can't be integrated because they have that open concept.
Yep,
David,
great,
you're ready to ask a question. I can see it.
I've got a question in terms of user access. So how, understanding there's different configurations and administrator access, is there a requirement for an on-site expert to be able to support the team, or is it pretty self-serve in terms of, if you're an executive, what does your dashboard look like, and down to the user level, how that's configured?
So good question, and I would say if you have what we provide is a number of roles built into the system. And the number of roles, kind of imagine, I'm a payroll user. I am a warehouse person. I am a purchasing person. I'm a project manager. So the roles have a number of kind of access provisions set up with them automatically. And I would say it's very easy for an end user to be able to say, well, this person is this kind of role, this is appropriate to them. Acumatica does give you the ability to say, I want to get a little more granular than that, right? I want this person to have access to, just their payroll, but I also want them to have access to, I don't know, manufacturing. So you can create custom roles. I would put that more in the hands of your partner that you're using. So your Amplify consultant would be more capable to create custom roles that can get down to, I want them to not be able to see this field. They can get into everything in inventory, but they can't see the vendor purchase price, let's say, something like that. So you can get very, very specific, but the more specific or the more granular, the more expertise, I would say, just in your kind of specific question of, is it a customer or is it, a little bit more advanced? Does that answer the question, David?
Yep, that's great. Thanks. And another question that I see in the market quite frequently, as well as in this chat, is how Acumatica, whether it's with its integration with Procore or in the Acumatica proper, how it handles multi-currency.
Handles it innately, very well out of the box. So we certainly have that capability. So we've been in Canada a long time, so the whole US Canadian dollar thing's very, very easy for us. We certainly understand the tax system there as well. It was originally designed with VAT capability built into it, so it was very accommodating to be able to handle all of the requirements for Canada and for somebody that does business not just with the US dollar, but with the euros, with anything.
Excellent.
Great, thanks.
I want to circle back on one thing. So something that I think Acumatica does really well is exactly what you spoke about and you showed us too. There's the templates that are meant that you've been consistently improving based on feedback and construction clients. There's the roles that you have developed based on best practices and also common practices of the finance or project managers or what have you in construction. And so you're not starting with a white piece of paper and having to create everything from scratch. You really get an opportunity to adopt and understand what best practices are and what common practices are. And then where applicable, there's always the opportunity to customize and configure. And to the point that you and David just discussed, sometimes that is more complicated and obviously would require our help. But the great news is that a lot of what you're going to need isn't actually going to require amplified tech experts to figure out and to fix for you, because the way it comes out of the box is based on hundreds and thousands of real people in businesses just like yours. And that feedback is being incorporated and put into those templates and those roles and those industry additions. So I think that's really important, because there are ERPs that we compete with every day where you have to ask and configure and customize every report, every role, every template, and it's exhausting and frankly incredibly expensive as well. We're almost out of time here, so any last questions, David or Wally, that you want to address before we do a wrap up?
I'll just point out to your point that you just made right now, because we've talked about dashboards and David had a question about different dashboards. This is just, these are things that we continue to build up. To your point, as we get feedback, it would be really helpful if we had something like this, at least to start with. So these are some of the templates that come with it. So you get, a number of dashboards out of the box that you've got the ability to use and work with.
Yeah, and it makes a huge difference from an experience perspective, because honestly, trying to create every single dashboard, every single role, every single template, it's too much. It's too expensive, and your teams don't have time for that. So when you have this opportunity, it can make an implementation go so much smoother. So for those questions that we didn't answer, we'll try to get back to you individually, or we encourage you to catch up with us and let us do a custom demo and a real conversation with you one-on-one. I'm so excited that there's so many questions that we're not able to go through, and we're already over time, and I want to respect your time. So we're going to wrap up here. Wally, that was incredible. I really appreciate it. David, thank you for the support, and for all of those that took the time to have lunch with us. I'm very thankful that you're interested, and hopefully you've fallen in love just like David and I did, because it's a great product, and it's really exciting to have it in our community and to be able to represent it. A couple of admin things as you're dropping off, just to remind you, we've got the employee experience, how your brand and team can have the ability to hire, retain, and offboard coming. So that live aha, it's going to sell out. Please do pre-register. Joe put the link in for you. We also have our usual third Tuesday of every month, the webinars that we do. And March is strategy. We have insight strategy coming, and that's going to be a great session. April is EDC, as I mentioned, so very applicable in today's economy and times. We're doing capital gains and structuring in May, so that will be a really good session for those business owners or accountants supporting business owners to make sure that now that capital gains are looking like they're going to stay the way they should, how can you make sure that you're not paying tax when you shouldn't? And of course, in June, we're doing Shred, which is very applicable for so many companies, and probably more applicable for those of you in the project-based industries than you even realize how wide stretching that opportunity can be. Again, not Amplify sponsored, but I do want to make sure you know that Jason Kenny and Ian Anderson are coming and doing a case for energy infrastructure. That's an FEI event. I really do think it's going to be very timely and very good discussion. So I encourage you to look at that as well. We are so happy to have this time with you, and thank you, Wally. It's awesome to have Acumatica as a partner and to be able to show people what they can do to grow their business. Thanks, everybody, and have an awesome day.
Thank you all.
Thanks.